Every morning when I come to the gym, I bring my cup of coffee, I sit in the parking lot, and I finish it before I go in. So I thought I'd use this opportunity to tell you my weight loss story. I was not happy in the body that I was in, and I knew that I had been successful at weight loss before, but I also knew from all the yo-yo dieting, basically, that everything I'd done before just did not work. So I knew that I had to try something new. I literally just started listening to podcasts such as We Only Look Thin and Mindful Shape, and I realized that all I really needed to do was be in a calorie deficit. And in order to do that, I had to start counting my calories. I know myself enough to know that if I set a really big, scary goal, that I will just go for it and do it. So I set a goal to track calories every single day for 365 days, an entire year. That's a lot of calorie tracking, and yes, it was tough at first, but I noticed that I was eating the same thing for breakfast, some similar things for lunch, and those apps are smart and keep the foods that you eat towards the top, so it makes tracking not so difficult. At the time I was using LifeSum. Now I recommend apps like either Lose It, MyFitnessPal, Chronometer. Use the one that works best for you. But back to my story. The thing is that I even track calories on days that I totally went off track with my calories. Because I was not perfect in staying in a calorie deficit, there were days I would eat half a pizza. But because I set a goal to track for 365 days, sometimes I'd just be pissy and I would track 2,000 calories for pizza. I would just kind of overestimate what I ate because I knew I went off track, but I was going to track it no matter what. And there were plenty of days like that, but more so because I was staying consistent with tracking, kind of made me accountable to get back on track. It also taught me what portion sizes look like. It taught me to really estimate calories when I went out to eat and I didn't know how many calories my meal was. There was so much I learned from tracking for an entire year. Not just about food, but about myself. Also, during that year and still today, I weigh myself every single day. And yes, I know scale does not define us. I do not think it does define me. But what it does do for me is it tells me what direction I'm headed. It gives me data and it gives me a trend. I can tell you that the before me, when I was a yo-yo dieter, I'd get on the scale in the morning, and if I was trying to do, a keto diet or something like that, if I lost weight, yay, good for me. I was in a really good mood that day. And when I was doing things like keto or whatever other diet I was doing, I would typically lose weight for, 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and then all of a sudden I'd get on the scale and I would gain a pound or gain 2 pounds, and then I'd be totally pissy about it. It would absolutely crush my mood in the morning. I allowed it to define who I was, and if I gained weight 1 or 2 days in a row, I would say, screw it, this diet's not working. And then that day and the rest of the week, I would just eat whatever I wanted, and it wasn't nutritious. And that was part of why I yo-yoed. But that's all my mindset, because I was allowing the scale to define me. I literally got out a piece of paper, and on that paper, I wrote 3 things. I am not perfect. I am determined. I will see progress. And I taped that piece of paper to my scale. So that way, every single morning when I weighed myself, I would read it and I would say, I am not perfect. I am determined. I will see progress. So if I did gain weight, instead of having thoughts of, screw it, this diet's over, I have thoughts of, it's okay, I'm not perfect, but I am determined. So I had to change my thoughts in order to change my results. And it worked. And there were plenty of days during the year that I lost 70 pounds that I gained weight. But it was totally okay because I held true to those statements. I stayed the course, and over time, a long period of time, about a year, I lost 70 pounds. And also during that year, I read books like Atomic Habits, Gap in the Gain, and those books, along with the podcasts, taught me that small habits would add up over time and really help me succeed. I learned things like habit stacking. I learned to preset wins for the next day. And through all the things, all the podcasts, the books, me following other people on Instagram and TikTok, I learned that walking was super important to weight loss. And so I created my own habit tracker. I set goals for myself monthly to get in steps. I was not going to a gym. I was not doing weightlifting. I was not doing cardio. I was literally only getting in steps. I was struggling to get in around 7,000 steps a day. But that's where I started. And that's okay. So I would track for a month, okay, how many times can I get in 7,000 steps? And if I was successful at it, the next month I might track how many times can I get in 7,500 steps. took me a lot of months to work my way up to 10,000 steps a day. I learned that I could not just start where somebody else was. I had to start where I'm at. And I was at 7,000 steps a day. Start with reasonable, manageable goals. Don't start where I'm at, start where you're at. When I had lost the weight, definitely had lost fat and muscle, I knew I wanted to keep it off, and I knew that in order to keep it off, I had to build muscle. I knew I didn't want to go to a gym. Frankly, at the time, I really didn't want to work out. And at that time, for me, 20-minute workouts. That was manageable, that was doable. It was really hard to say no to a 20-minute workout. I would literally set a timer, pick 5 exercises, and do an EMOM style workout. That's every minute on the minute. 5 exercises, 4 rounds equals 20 minutes. And I did these exercises in my garage, dumbbell mat, and I didn't even put tennis shoes on because I didn't want to do that. I would do my workouts barefoot, and I wouldn't do it every day. I would do it maybe 4 times a week. And I started tracking that on my habit tracker because I wanted to be consistent with it. And over time, it got to be not so dreadful. I literally remember doing the push-ups that first day and being sad that I could do about 3 before I was exhausted. But I also remember being super excited when I worked my way up to 10 push-ups and then eventually 20. And I was focusing on my progress, small wins, but everything that I did, every habit I put in place was manageable for me. Before, when I was yo-yo dieting, I would try to do something like that 75 hard, where I would try to do too much too soon because I had that all or nothing mindset, and it never worked out for me because I would quit. It was too much too soon. It took me about a year to lose the weight. It took me about another year to build muscle. All the meanwhile, I was building habits. I was staying consistent. I was becoming a new me. And then I joined a gym, which is where I'm sitting right now in the parking lot of the gym, because I wanted to build more muscle. When I hit goal weight, by the way, I did not move from my calorie deficit to calorie maintenance. I did not add back 500 calories immediately. Had I done that, I would have gained weight. So after losing the weight, I would add back like maybe 50 calories a month. The time period of which it took me to lose the weight was about the same time period of which it took me to get my calories back up. Slow as it took to build the muscle, it took me that long to get back to maintenance calories. And because I was weighing myself every day, I could easily track the data. It's my muscle that allows me to sustain my weight loss. When I go in the gym, I typically get on a treadmill. I walk for 30 minutes to get in my steps because that's a habit. And then I work on muscle building. So that's my story. That's what I did. I think the major takeaways from this is start where you're at. Don't start where I'm at. Don't deprive yourself. Be accurate and consistent with tracking calories. Slowly integrate habits. Start small. And write down your own mantra that will keep you on track. Repeat it to yourself every day and give yourself time because it takes time. And then you can see results.